to make it official, this is the U.S. National Grid Implementation Work Group meeting of October 16th, 2024. The agenda is previously published, 2 to 2:30 administrative meeting updates, 2:31 to 2:58, going sloppy on that one. Community discussion, response has gone bad. We'll keep the show running as long as people want to play. And then in theory, 2:59 to 3 o'clock, closing comments, next meeting, and adjourn, be on our way. Okay, administrative meeting and updates. Here's what I got for you. Opening the roll calls being collected automatically off the Zoom file. Our recorder is indeed running. I'm gaveling the meeting open, and I'm looking to find out, are there any changes, additions, corrections to the agenda as previously published? Going once, going twice. Hearing none, the agenda is put before the floor. And motion to accept the minutes from, I guess we should actually physically, administratively open the meeting. So do I have a motion from the floor to open this meeting?
So moved, Randy.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I believe that was
Second, Jules.
Thank you, Jules. Appreciate it. Is there anyone in let's try that one more time. Is there anyone opposed? Hearing none, the meeting's underway, and I'm going to put forward a motion to accept the minutes as previously published on our YouTube tube. Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved, PJ.
Second, Randy.
Okay. Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the minutes as previously published on the YouTube channel are accepted to record. And with that, welcome and thank you, especially first-timers, whoever Greg's AI notes are. David Dodds, it's been a while since you've been with us as well. Could you please introduce yourself? Let folks, just give a sense of your background.
Dave Dodds, Polk County, Iowa, GIS guy.
Appreciate it. Rich, welcome on board. We've seen you many times before, and I think the rest of us are all old salts on this deal. As we've talked about
Mr.
before,
Geikus, how about why don't you have Mr. Geikus introduce himself?
Oh, I thought you already did a good job of it. So
let's hear what he's got to say.
Okay, let's do it.
Who's asking me to do that?
Yeah, that's Randy. Randy's beating you about the shoulders.
Introduce yourself.
Well, I've actually participated in this meeting not too long ago, where I think I introduced myself then. I don't think you were on the call, but yeah, I go by Yo. My first name is Xenophon. I'm retired from the LAFD after almost 34 years. I retired back in 2019. And I've since decided to go back to work for some silly reason. And I work here currently in the city of Beverly Hills as I was a fire guy in LA. I'm an IT person here in Beverly Hills, and I directly support the fire department. And then I have a few other irons in the fire doing similar tech stuff. But I've been a very big proponent of GIS, and that led me to Randy. And I was one of the founding guys here for the, my mind is blank now. What's the national group we have?
National Grid.
GIS. I was the
NAPSG.
Yeah, I think that's how I met Randy. Actually, was through NAPSG and Peter.
Right.
Yeah, and then the idea of the U.S. National Grid, it's definitely needed. My experience there in LA, we still have unique proprietary gridding system for LA, and really don't have any other. So if you don't have that or a printed map of that, then you really don't have any interoperability. And we do mutual aid and automatic aid all day long. So I think there's such a tremendous need for this, and I applaud you guys for really the effort here. It's still, as you know better than me, it's still needed. So,
Your engagement is critical. Your insight, your experience are
well,
critical in this group.
well,
I
I
have a
hope,
couple, just as Jules, I have a couple comments about that too. If you want me to save them till later, I'll do so.
well,
Oh,
I'll wrap
Jules.
up. I was kind of out of the industry. Like I said, I retired in 19, and between, I had an elderly father and in-laws, and then COVID, and that kind of kept me out of the business for a little bit by choice. I really don't know why I came back to work, honestly, but I expect you'll see me a little more regularly. I finally got my feet back on the ground and running again. So thank you for having me.
Jules, the train is already off the track. Go ahead. What do you have? And thank you, Yo. We really appreciate you being here. Well, looking forward to engaging with you.
I was just going to mention real quick for Yo's benefit. I was out in LA several years ago. I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 even. Briefed the Task Force 1 commander out there out in East LA somewhere. I don't remember exactly where the Task Force 1 was located, but that was after Fairfax County Task Force 1 here in Virginia had really signed on to the grid, and about the time FEMA was adopting it, though it's hard to tell. And also we had an extensive, and I guess my impression from that time was that it's very difficult to get, Thomas Brothers map was the map that was used. I guess it may still be, but it was very difficult because all of the emergency response organizations seem kind of balkanized out there. Everybody's got their own area that they're responsible for, and it's so it's hard to get anything adopted with consistency. We also spent a lot of time with the earthquake guys. I don't remember that. I could dig up the names of the players, but there was a lot of interest on the part of the people who stage the regular earthquake drills too. But again, that dissipates from lack of sort of comprehensive awareness, I guess I'd say. So that seems to be the biggest problem. Those people that get a chance to look at it and understand it say, wow, this is great, this would help our operations, but it's very difficult to expand beyond that, those little little areas. So that was my impression, and if you're interested, I can dig up my the information I have on the particularly the earthquake response folks. But
Are you talking
anyway,
about the CERT people?
Say again?
CERT, Community Emergency Response Team?
No, it was probably before that. It was a regular earthquake drill exercise. It was kind of run out of Northern California, I think.
The doctor that does all the seismic briefings on the news?
Perhaps.
Well, the Los Angeles you're thinking of in East LA, that's LA County fire. I was with LA City. But the FEMA team, they have a urban search and rescue team just like LA City. And I do remember when we adopted them, and that's really a little why I'm surprised that we really haven't advanced past that. We all get around, we all interoperate. Some of us go across the country for response. In fact, I think LA, both teams might be in Florida. I know LA City sent a Type 3 team. Orange County Fire down here in south of me, they also sent a Type 3 team. So it's surprising to me that U.S. National Grid has not adopted more widespread here in the Southland. So maybe we can change that.
That'd be a good thing. If I could, we need to move on. Here's the committee report. As you're aware, there are 3 different committees. There's the board of directors. There's the executive committee, which in theory runs things that when the board is not in session. The last meeting of the board of directors over in the green box, September 24th. Our focus remains on 2024 priorities. And the next meeting of the board of directors will take place on January 7th of, 2025. BJ, I've seen you clicked off earlier. You're ready to give us your finance committee report from Treasurer Colstead. And beyond the fact you guys are meeting monthly, there's some numbers up there for you to talk about.
Yeah, it says right there that our current balance is $272.18. We normally, the last several months, we haven't had any special activity except for $7.50 annual charge for, or I'm sorry, monthly charge for, I forget if that's the website or the toll-free phone line. But I see that Steve has put in another $266, and that should carry us through the next 18 months. There is no outstanding activity.
Okay, thank you very much. Reminder, if you would like to help the kitty because the rate of spend is going to go up starting next year, and I'll explain that a little bit further on in the discussion. And you can always reach me at chair@usngi.org. And moving on from there, old business and priorities reviews. It breaks down to priorities review and ongoing items. So priorities review, here we go. We're doing actually pretty good. On the top, if it's black, that indicates that it's something that's in work. The green have been completed, and we'll talk about each of those as we move forward. And then we have 3 items that are left orphaned for right now. And with some shoulder to the boulder, we should be able to get those 3 items cleaned up. We got a month and a half, but there's a lot of distractive activities in between Thanksgiving, Christmas, and the New Year. So we'll talk about that as we move into this. Priorities 1 and 2. The websites, we are currently looking at, I've gone through recently and did significant editing on the Institute site. The USNG Center sits in limbo because we have to finish passing the control of that. It's been migrated, but there's still a glitch on that I got to work through with Jim Klassen, and haven't been able to get any Jim Klassen time to be able to fix that. And then USNG store, the significant work continues underway. And everybody that was here last time knows that this anticipated late October release used to say anticipated late July release, probably said anticipated late April release. But anyway, the point is that this thing's been taking some considerable slides because other stuff has popped up that became, quite frankly, more important. But we're working hard to get the USNG store up and running. Priority 3 is the mapbook uploader, and ShareGeo is committed to throwing some money at this. And it's a matter of getting another priority out of the way before we move on to this one. No change on the ELM production guide. That's held up pending the completion of the websites. As soon as they're done, we'll get this rascal finished off. It's about, I don't know, 40% done. And it's a matter of making sure that after the websites get up the way they need to be about discussing these emergency location markers, that it aligns with what's seen in the installation guide. I just printed off myself a bunch of Frederick Berrywiggle business cards for an event I was just at. So that is in fact up and running the way it needs to be. And one of the individuals on the call, Mike Sovereign, is going to be working with Vistaprint to get it set up so that members of the board of directors can simply go in, type in their information, and they can get a batch of cards printed on their behalf and sent to them. Social media. Wow. A lot of work has been put into getting the social media up and running. And in fact, it now is functioning the way we would like to have it. We've concentrated on 3 areas, one being the ability to post to YouTube. We have our own YouTube channel. We recently brought online the U.S. National Grid Institute at LinkedIn, and we've decided we're only going to be on Facebook and not on Twitter for U.S. National Grid Institute. But Julia and Mike working together were able to pull that off, and it's a wonderful thing because I've been starting to post on there. Here's a couple of examples that were put up on LinkedIn. I did a whole uh, article in the LinkedIn system that I called Hurricane Milton, some thoughts about emergency response language and location. It's available for you to read. I think we're up to 7 comments, which is not a lot, and 1 reposting. Mike put up, a nice post about us being up at the Minnesota GIS LAS conference. And then last but not least, this quick item, the post that was put up for Hurricane Milton. I think that's over 3,000 views at this point, 44 reactions from there, including from some heavy hitters. And I'm real happy with, we got some good traction out of that. So that's an example of what the social media effort can do for us on their outreach function. And we've got police in place between Julia and Mike to make sure that anything that goes up on that is appropriately framed so that we're not getting ourselves in trouble with anyone. But please help them. Here are their email addresses: msovereign@sharegeo.org and jfn21@floridastateuniversity.edu. They're always going to be in need of ideas and subscribers. Subscribers, especially, because the bigger we can build our outreach capability through subscribers, the more people that see it, the more chances there are for posts to be pushed along and things of that nature. So please keep that in mind going forward as something that would be of value to us. Priority 7, the nationwide USNG trifold that was released on September 7th. You can download it from our site under the resources promotion area. And that basically tells you how the U.S. National Grid works, how the USNG app fits into that, and how markers fit into that as a way to help people conceptualize that we're not just talking something that is, out there in thought land, but something that actually works. And here it is. Same thing as I've already mentioned, the U.S. National Grid app.org 2.0 was also released on September 7th. And as you can see here, there are some significant changes to it. Over here, you'll see the info button. And when you click on that for the first time, or the first time this loads, you'll get all the instructions on how the app in fact works. And thank you very much to the board of directors on reading through or providing feedback on the version that preceded this, so that we had some idea of what issues to address, how to think about it, things like it doesn't work from your desktop, and here's why. And what do these orange numbers down here mean? What the red number with a line mean through it, where you can use it and whatnot. And then we also describe this new back page and the ability to get to any of the respective maps that would be available in the system. And then as appropriate, and this always makes Al rip his hair out, but too bad, as the size of your grid gets entered in here, for instance, if we only typed in 4 numbers for 1,000-meter grid, the latitude, longitude in the National Search and Rescue Committee's approved format or recommended format is published down below in each instance of where the corner would be on this below the entry here. And you can not even put the 15T in. You can enter as few as 2 numbers, and it will generate that grid square that is closest to you that matches that number. Okay, please check your mutes if you would, to make sure we don't have feedback for everybody. Thank you very much. And then, as I said, you've got the issue of um, the, the, the maps being available as a direct function of that. Write articles for publication. My hat is off to Jennifer Lana down in Cobb County, Georgia. She has done some maneuvering as she walked out the door to go to work at Esri. She has been able to get Esri positioned to publish in one of their online magazines a whole article about U.S. National Grid and the implementation of the project down there with the location markers. And then we are going to see in Parks and Recreation an article this fall that's going to be along the same lines. And that kind of adds to what we're doing with what we were talking about earlier with social media. Okay, priority number 10 is the U.S. National Grid map production guide. And we're working to make arrangements for somebody on this call to be able to get that cranked up and finished off before year end would be a wonderful thing. Okay, ongoing items. Here's what we got. Item number 1, reminding why we are here. So if you hadn't seen it, this has got published in the Washingtonian. I believe it was in August, and I'm fighting with Zoom's thing blocking everything. Washington Tonian on August 8th, 2024, and it goes into this whole thing about why, of all places on the planet, DC's 911 service is all messed up. In fact, it's so bad, the fire department in DC is starting to run their own dispatch operation just to try to stay away from the fact that their 911 system is so messed up. And then lo and behold, like I've said before, if you scan this thing called the internet with Google or anybody else, you'll be able to dig these articles up. They're like monthly. Here's one that came in from Durham, North Carolina. 911 center airs botch EMS response to Sampson County accidents. And what's the fire chief saying? Mistakes like this shouldn't happen. Okay, we're going to have a discussion about that here in just a bit, but I want to do this as a reminder. We've put up only some of the events that we're aware of, and you can find that on the news page on the USNGI website. If you go in under resources, there's a thing that says news, or if you come in on the landing page and click news, lo and behold, there it is. And you can wander in there and you can read, article after article after article about, what's gone wrong with trying to find people and getting a response to them. And we're just going to continue posting stuff there. And when we got enough, then we'll do some door knocking. Okay. Here's item number 2. Help the cause, please. There's 2 ways you can do things to help the cause. Once again, please check your mute off. If you could, Ron, could you check that for me, please? Thanks. Passive. USNG interested party. That's a passive person. You don't have to participate and do anything. Just send me your contact information so you can receive event information. Donate. Pass the ammunition. Sign up for social media accounts that builds engagement and credibility. Forward meeting announcements builds participation. Educate yourself about U.S. National Grid so you can help others understand the importance. And if you know about a grant or potential other funding source, please let me know. I'm fairly decent at writing a grant request, but the problem is I don't have visibility on what's where and the extent of what's out there. And there's always an available way to, throw your hat into the ring of just wanting to know what's going on with us. And that's by using this chair@usngi.org. And you can find it under Join Us. And there it is. Now, if you want to get active, you can volunteer to work on a project, become a project owner, serve on the board. Got talent? Please let us know. And that's all facilitated from that same page where you can click on, jump back to it And you just jump down here to where it says volunteer your service, click on that, you fill out the form, and away you go. So please consider that. Takes us down to new business. All right, I gotta slow down for a second. Here we go. Let me get a drink and then off we go. Okay. As many of you are aware, we enabled building a structure that could be easily converted into a nonprofit. We literally could become a nonprofit in an afternoon, but we wanted to make sure that we could create enough momentum and that there was enough interest in the effort for it to be worth our personal time. Structurally, there are 9 members of the board of directors. We're currently sitting with 8. 3 positions, one of the empty ones will rotate this year. Each is a 3-year term by the bylaw, so you can do the math on that one. What that effectively allows us to do is to have consistent board membership of 6 years worth of experience at any given point, because 3 people are rotating off, 3 people are rotating on, and that cycle repeats itself every year. Well, what's the commitment? It's 8 meetings per year, 4 for the institute, which you're, participating in. I should say the implementation work group. I got those 2 backwards, and then 4 for the U.S. National Grid Institute Board of Directors. So the board of directors guides the effort of this group going forward. And as I indicated earlier, 2025 is going to be a transition year from going from doing all the administrative building we've been doing to, no kidding, doing advocacy. And we think that, ultimately when we embarked on this adventure, that getting to where we're going to be in 2025 was going to be the answer for what we wanted to try to achieve out of this, and spreading the word and holding some folks accountable for the fact that we've gone 20 some years, or actually in the case of the initial implementation of U.S. National Grid with the Federal Geographic Data Committee, we've gone 23 years. And quick math on my part, 15 takes us to 9 years since FEMA, in theory, endorsed U.S. National Grid. So if you're interested in participating on the board, and the board's going to hold a vote here in the not sometime in early December about who we would like to bring on board, all you have to do is submit a resume and indicate your interest in participating, and you send it to chair@usngi.org. Wow. I blew through that stuff. We're down to comments, announcements, and other business. But before I move on, are there any questions, thoughts, comments, whatever, about what's been covered to this point in the meeting? Going once, going twice, gone. Okay. Comments. There's a couple of them. Here's the U.S. National Grid booth at the GIS-LAS conference, October 24th. The booth was out and about for the first time since 2019. I also have had some extensive personal issues over the last few years, and it was made worse by the fact that a couple of clowns broke into our storage locker and stole the backplace banner, which cost $1,000 to replace, and some other TVs and things of that nature that they thought they needed more than we did. So those items have all now been replaced. We're positioning ourselves to get back out on the road and do more personal meet and greet to try to drive home the idea.
Steve, I just want to commend you. The booth looked great at the conference. I did witness multiple people coming by, talking about the grid, and your efforts were heroic.
Well, that's hard to believe it's heroic, but thank you, Randy. I appreciate that. Thanks. Yeah. So one of my spies over at a place called Civil Air Patrol was telling me how wonderful it is that FEMA has actually finally enabled damage assessment from the air using, you guessed it, US National Grid. So big clap on that. Thank you very much. That's wonderful. But as you can see, there's still some learning that needs to go on. And I know you can't read what it says down here, but the individual telling me the story also said that everybody was sending their stuff in using US National US National Grid, except he got one guy that sent stuff in using latitude longitude. And he's looking at the lat longs going, where did you get those numbers from? And he said, well, it's off of the rolling indicator down in the left-hand side of the screen. So it says down there, minus 82, 51.3 / 36.041 degrees. You know where that is? Somebody want to take a guess? It's Antarctica, just directly south of South Africa. What they did was, and since they thought they were trying to get the easting, and northing, they changed the latitude longitude around is the best guess we can come up with. And by the way, you might want to have considered putting the latitude longitude in the first place in the endorsed manner in which it's supposed to be used for emergency response purposes. So anyway, there's still a learning curve out there. If there's any doubt, there we go. Okay, this and that. Here's what I got for you. FEMA has requested Florida State University Social and Vulnerability Index data for use in Helena and Milton. Please check your mutes, if you would, please. Thank you. U.S. National Grid Emergency Location Marker Abstract is being submitted for the International Trail Summit in Madison on April 15, 17. The closeout for getting up and blabbing at the National Hurricane Conference in New Orleans is Saturday, November 30th. If you got some way or means by which to engage on that, it would be wonderful. There may be a way to raise some money to contribute to the effort. And the next U.S. National Grid training opportunity, our friend Al is going to be out running around, and he's going to be doing U.S. National Grid, how and why it is used, and that will be at the National Urban Search and Rescue and Medical Special Operations Conference in Orlando, Florida. Okay. Whew. Who or what did I miss? Going once, going twice, gone. Next meeting, Wednesday, January 29th, 2025, 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I'm actually going to put to vote with the board of directors whether we want to shift forward to 1 o'clock. We've been consistently at 2 o'clock trying to support the need of one of the more active individuals, and we've really not had the level of participation that supports that. So 1 o'clock may be the way to go. We're down to adjournment. I would like to bring the meeting.
One moment. We had
Go
a couple of late joiners. It'd be nice to know who they are. Everybody that is here is important because everybody shows an interest in what we're doing. And if they can at least identify themselves, send an email to chair at where are you, Steve?
USNGI.org.
Chair at USNGI.org. Bridget and Ron, you guys joined late, but your involvement is important. Thank you.
So Bridget's up in Bayfield County. Please introduce yourself to the rest.
Yep. Bridget Rena Williams, working at the Land Records Office in Bayfield County. And we have a number of trail systems that now have USNG on them, but I'm pretty new to it all and just trying to learn a little bit, see how we can implement it further.
It's just good to know that. It really is. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And who else were you looking for? Ron?
Ron's incognito.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. So the rundown is thank you everybody for being here. I'd like to bring the meeting, to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion to do so?
So moved, Randy.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you, Mike, for bailing me out. Okay, with that, unless there's anyone opposed to the meeting coming to the conclusion, going once, going twice, gone. We are adjourned. And just for a reminder, experience is a good school, but the fees are high. And there couldn't be any more example of that than all these 911 instances that we're talking about. So let's see what we can do about trying to get things fixed. Thanks, everybody. Have a great
Thank you,
weekend.
Steve. Thank you,
Whatever's left
Steve.
of your week. Take care. Bye-bye.